Hi Scorpio, welcome to your August 2024 horoscope. Let's get straight into it with the square between Jupiter and Saturn. This is one of the bigger events actually of the whole year, and it's happening on August 19th. Even though it's happening a bit later in the month, I do want to start by talking about this square because it's honestly going to be sort of the underlying theme of the whole month. A square between Jupiter and Saturn is quite interesting because it's a tension between optimism and pessimism, between hope and feeling stuck. And it's a tension between a sense of flow, a sense of things going well, versus a sense of needing to put in hard work and needing to be patient. And for you, Scorpio, Jupiter is in your 8th house and Saturn is in your 5th house. And this is actually quite an interesting place to have this square happening. To me, having Jupiter in your 8th house represents that you might be finding it quite easy to spend time with somebody else, to focus on the deep things, to discuss deep, very serious things, maybe like discussing death with others, discussing the meaning of life. A lot of these very serious and very, honestly, meaningful topics. And you might feel like there's a sort of high that comes from that, a feeling that you really connect with this other person, a feeling that you really get each other, a feeling that you have a very intimate relationship forming there. And at the same time, you have Saturn in your 5th house, so you might feel like you're struggling to access these more shallow parts of life, these more surface level, easy parts of being a human on this earth. You might be finding it harder to, just have a delicious meal or just spend some time having a light conversation with somebody about the weather. And there might be a part of you that wants that. Obviously, it's not fun always talking about death and serious topics like that. But with Saturn, it might feel like you really have to put in a lot of work to be able to remain on the surface level, to be able to enjoy the simple pleasures of life. Because you might find that you're automatically jumping into these deeper topics. And this contrast between Jupiter and Saturn, this contrast between diving in deep versus enjoying simple pleasures can feel gigantic. This is a square between Jupiter and Saturn, which means that the tension cannot be ignored. So the difference between these two, it's not like it's very small, it's not noticeable, it's not like you can just shove it under the carpet and hope in September it goes away. It's a tension that is very obvious, it's a tension that feels weird, and it's a tension that you would probably want to resolve in some way. So even though this square is happening on August 19th, I think the whole week before is actually quite important, and it's actually already playing out these themes. And specifically on August 14th, there's something happening in the sky that I think will be like the spark that gets the flame going, that gets the Jupiter-Saturn square flame going. The thing that's happening on August 14th is a conjunction between Mars and Jupiter. The day after, Mars also squares Saturn. The square between Mars and Jupiter is like you feel brave, you feel optimistic, and you finally find the courage to do something scary. For you, Scorpio, this conjunction is happening in your 8th house. So maybe you finally find the courage to open up to somebody and start talking about these deeper layers within your mind, within your existence as a human being. However, because just the day after Mars squares Saturn, you might find that the outcome from your courageous action is not as desired. You might find that you opening up to talk about these deeper things with somebody else maybe doesn't go the way you planned it to go. And as a result, this can also have an impact. We see it later a couple of days later, having an impact on your self-esteem, your self-confidence, your ability to enjoy life. And the way we see this with the planets is that on August 18th, Venus will oppose Saturn. So Venus is in your 11th house, and Saturn is in your 5th. And because there's this opposition, it's very difficult for you to be able to enjoy life. It's very difficult for you to be able to look beyond having these deeper, more intimate discussions and focus instead on just enjoying your time here on Earth. And then finally, on the 19th, we have that square between Jupiter and Saturn. One very important thing to note about the Jupiter square Saturn aspect is that it's happening during a full moon. It's insane. Honestly, when I saw this in the software that I use, I was amazed. Not only do we have the tension of Jupiter and Saturn, we also have the tension from a full moon at the same time. So the sun will be in the sign of Leo and the moon will be in the sign of Aquarius. And for you, Scorpio, the moon will be in your 4th house. So during this square, you might start feeling a bit of an outcast, and especially a bit of an outcast when it comes to your family and with your home. You might feel like you're misunderstood within your home. You might feel like, you look around your literal home and you feel like something's weird, like you don't belong there. And I think this is probably such a weird feeling to have, a feeling that you don't belong within your own home. I do want to remind you, though, that all of us are experiencing this moon in Aquarius, this full moon in Aquarius. So all of us are feeling like an outcast in one way or another. So I do recommend to open up to somebody that you trust. You'll find that they will probably also share their Jupiter square Saturn struggles with you. And hopefully that will help with a bit of these outcast feelings as well. There are 2 more challenging aspects during the month of August that we need to talk about. And both of them involve the planet Venus. At the beginning of the month, Venus will square Uranus, and at the end of the month, Venus will oppose Neptune. Venus squares Uranus, who's in your 7th house. So at the beginning of the month, there might be something sudden that happens with your relationship, something unexpected that happens with it. Don't worry, this doesn't have to mean a breakup. But there's something unexpected that happens there. And again, because it's a challenging aspect with Venus, it does have an effect on your confidence, your love for yourself, on your ability to love life and enjoy life. Later, at the end of the month, Venus opposes Neptune, who's in your 5th house. So this is an end of a month where you're letting go of certain dreams you had about what it means to enjoy life. You have realized with the Jupiter and Saturn square that you thought enjoyment and pleasure and fun meant something, and you now realize that that's no longer the truth. You see this definition of fun, this definition of self-expression in a completely different light. And you're shedding, you're letting go of the illusions you had about it. But still, that might have an effect on your self-confidence. It might make it more difficult for you to feel confident yet with these newfound beliefs, with these newfound realizations. And it makes sense. You need some time to let those settle in before you can fully wear them proud. Okay, but I promise, let's end off on a good note. Let's end off with one more light transit in the month of August. On August 4th, so at the beginning of the month, we have a new moon in the sign of Leo. This is happening in your 10th house of career. And honestly, it's going to be quite a calm and gentle new moon for a lot of us, especially if we consider it to what's coming for us later in the month. For you specifically, though, Scorpio, you might be facing some new type of recognition, some new maybe leadership role you have in your career. Be careful though not to overextend yourself. We have Mars and Jupiter in the sign of Gemini. Be careful not to spread yourself too thin in 500 different directions. But overall, though, do enjoy this new moon. Do enjoy the nice energy it brings. You might need some of that later in the month when the square between Jupiter and Saturn happens. But overall, Scorpio, I am sure that you got this. I'm positive that you can handle whatever August has in store for you. You know, I share this with a couple of the other zodiac signs as well. The planets are not doing this so that they can, you know, look at us and laugh and point their finger at us. I do think that there is sort of a more lofty goal behind this. So I do hope that amongst the chaos, you're able to find some moments of silence, of reflection, and you're able to think about what sort of learnings this square between Jupiter and Saturn might be trying to teach you. But overall, Scorpio, thank you for joining me for this August horoscope. Make sure you subscribe. I am doing a giveaway. When we reach 1,000 subscribers, one of you gets a free reading. So if you want to get a chance to win that, make sure you subscribe. Thank you so much for joining me, Scorpio, and I hope to see you again soon.